In my third year as a stand-in romance heroine, I suddenly started seeing the male lead's thoughts through floating comments. When the male lead coldly told me I was just a substitute and he'd never marry me, the comments went crazy. This guy's lying through his teeth. He's already got the ring ready. He's bought several wedding venues. The wedding planner has submitted 10 different dress designs. He even showed my photo to his parents. But he's too stubborn to admit it. Keep playing games. One day you'll lose your wife for good and then you'll be happy. I stared up in shock. Meanwhile, the male lead continued arrogantly telling me, know your place. You're just a substitute. Don't dream about things you can't have. I nodded and said, I won't. But Mr. Williams, I said, I paid off my dad's debt. I don't want to stay with you anymore. James Williams' aristocratic face changed dramatically, staring at me in disbelief. What did you say? The comments at this moment filled the screen with, oh. Snap. Initially, James came to me because his childhood sweetheart married someone else. His first love didn't love him back. And I had a face that looked just like hers. So James found me. He was a young director in the industry backed by massive wealth. At that time, I was still running around as an extra in small productions. When we first met, James wore a light gray suit casually crossing his legs. As he sat across from me, he handed me a contract and a card. He said, I think you'll need this. He'd investigated me, a father who owed massive gambling debts, and a mother bedridden with illness. I needed money. Otherwise I wouldn't have stumbled into this industry. What James pushed across was a contract with his company, and a card with a $5 million limit. I quietly looked up at James across from me. He had a face as handsome as any male star in the industry. Perhaps because as he grew up with a silver spoon, he exuded aristocratic bearing. He leaned slightly against the chair back, his eyes showing a kind of condescending arrogance. He seemed to be appraising me. But when I looked back at him, he unnaturally averted his gaze. His ears hidden behind his black hair were slightly red. I didn't think much of it then. I just lowered my head, picked up and signed both contracts James brought. One was an economic contract with his company. The other was a contract for him to keep me. I'd been with James for 3 years. Looking back, he actually didn't treat me badly during those 3 years. He always gave me the most suitable roles and resources. He got me luxury endorsements that even A-list actresses could touch. He even gave me extra money every month, calling it living expenses. During these years with James, I paid off my father's astronomical gambling debts. I also made some name for myself in the industry. But James was contradictory, acting without logic. He wanted to give me top-tier resources, but was afraid I'd go too far. Once movie starring a top male actor approached me, though they only offered me the second female lead role. The character was quite outstanding, acting opposite a top star playing his wife. This was the best opportunity to gain recognition. But when the script reached James, he rejected it without mercy. He seemed to find his own behavior strange, too. He turned around and got me 2 luxury brand endorsements instead. Of course, I didn't ask James for his reasons. James was the boss, the superior, the one controlling my entire work in life. At work, he made all the decisions for me. In private, I satisfied all his demands. Even in bed, James didn't find me just to drink poison while looking at my face. That resembled his first love. He was a man. These past few years, aside from being on set, I most often stayed at James's riverside villa. Even when I occasionally stayed on set, James would quietly visit under the pretext of investment inspections. Everyone in the industry was sharp. James acted boldly and recklessly, never considering consequences. So many people knew about our relationship back then. He unhesitatingly rejected breakthrough movie for me. I never asked why, but I thought about it privately. He was probably afraid I'd become famous. If I became famous, his first love overseas might see my face. She might then know about my relationship with him. James had lived recklessly for 20-something years. His only caution was probably reserved for that person. In my third year with James, my better-than-mother took her last breath. Famous doctors and high-end care facilities couldn't save her. Mother died on a rainy night. I had no family left in this world. So I didn't contact anyone and handled her funeral alone. The day after Mother's death, James appeared in a black suit holding a large umbrella, striding through the rain to find me at the cemetery. I couldn't reach you for 2 days, he said. There was blame in his tone. You even dared not answer my calls. I instinctively reached for my phone, but realized that in the chaos of these 2 days, I'd lost track of where my phone was. James held the umbrella over my head. He frowned. Don't you even know to bring an umbrella? He said. If you catch a cold, don't come to my house. Rain pounded dully on the umbrella. My hair and clothes were soaked through. As I stood disheveled before James, I only whispered an apology. Sorry, Mr. Williams. James grabbed my hand. His palm was dry, warm with a kind of strange. I was stunned, but he had already started walking forward, leading me to the car. As soon as the car door closed, a towel was thrown into my lap. James frowned slightly as if disgusted. Clean yourself up. The car's heater was on full blast, but James seemed to find it hot. Loosening and removing his jacket, I silently took the towel and began drying my soaked hair. The towel briefly blocked my vision, but I could feel James's substantial gaze resting on me. Was he angry again? I thought aimlessly. Then I heard him suddenly speak. Why didn't you tell me when your mother passed away? He asked many questions today. Every question was condescending and aggressive. He was always like this. He'd been like this for 3 years. Even in bed when he spoke to me, it was like giving orders. My silence lasted too long. James clicked his tongue impatiently. He coldly called my name. Sarah. I'm asking you a question. Hidden under the thick, dry towel, I finally spoke. Mr. Williams. This is my private matter. I didn't want to trouble you. After I spoke, James let out a cold laugh. He said sarcastically, you're quite good at knowing your place. He said. Last week, my grandfather found the daughter of a consortium director to set me up with. He yanked away the towel covering my head, cupping my face with one hand. He looked directly into my eyes. He stared at me up close, speaking each word deliberately. Sarah, I will never marry you. James was truly strange, always acting on impulse. I never thought he would marry me. This didn't need to be emphasized again. But he stared straight at me, seemingly waiting for my response. I pressed my dry lips together, wanting to say I knew. But suddenly I saw a white text appearing in the car space. Those words emerged rapidly from behind. James. Laughable. This fake guy is really putting on an act. This guy's lying through his teeth. He fell in love at first sight. He schemed to get her. He's already got the ring ready. He's bought several wedding venues. The wedding planner has submitted 10 different dress designs. He even showed my photo to his parents. When his grandfather called him for a blind date, he didn't even go. But he's too stubborn to admit it. Keep playing games. One day you'll lose your wife for good and then you'll be happy. What did you say? James repeated. The air in the luxury sedan seemed to freeze. The heater was still blasting, but the temperature in James's eyes had dropped to absolute zero. I said, I kept my voice steady, though my fingers trembled slightly under the towel, I've paid off the debt. The contract is over. I'm leaving. James stared at me. For a moment, his mask of aristocratic indifference cracked. His jaw worked, as if he were trying to chew through a mouthful of glass. Leaving, he sneered, though the sound lacked its usual bite. Sarah, don't be naive. You think just because you paid off a few gambling debts you can survive in this industry without me? You're a canary I raised. Outside this cage, you'll be eaten alive. I looked at him, ready to be hurt by his cruelty, but then the air above his head shimmered. A new wave of white text rolled by like a frantic chat room. He is panicking. Look at his hands. Internal screaming, no 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 don't go. He's about to say something stupid to hurt her feelings because he has the emotional intelligence of a teaspoon. Watch. Fun fact, he bought the villa next door to yours yesterday just in case you wanted space, but he's too dumb to say it. I blinked. I looked down at James's hand resting on the leather console. The knuckles were white, gripping the edge so hard the leather was creasing. I'm not a canary, James, I said softly. And you're not my owner. I'm grateful for the past 3 years. Truly. You saved me when I was drowning. But the transaction is done. James abruptly turned away, slamming his hand against the steering wheel. Fine, he roared, startling the driver in the front partition. Get out then. If you walk out of this car, don't come crawling back when you realize nobody wants a second-hand substitute. The comments exploded. He is lying. He is lying. System alert, heart rate 140 BPM. High stress detected. Bro, just apologize. Hug her. Tell her you love her. If she actually opens that door, he's going to cry. I bet $5. I took a deep breath, placed the towel neatly on the seat, and reached for the handle. Goodbye, Mr. Williams. I opened the door. The rain had stopped, leaving the air damp and cold. I stepped out onto the wet pavement. Behind me, I didn't hear the car door slam. I didn't hear the engine roar away. I walked 10 steps, 20 steps. The silence was heavy. I couldn't resist. I glanced back. The black sedan was still there. Through the rear window, I could see a silhouette sitting rigidly. Above the car, a massive, glowing bold comment floated in the night air. He is currently Googling how to get girlfriend back after being an idiot. I almost laughed. A tear finally escaped, rolling down my cheek. For 3 years, I thought I was living in a tragedy. Turns out, I was the female lead in a romantic comedy, and the male lead was a catastrophic tsundere. I moved into a small apartment downtown. It was 40 square meters, barely the size of James's bathroom, but it was mine. For the first week, the industry was quiet. Too quiet. I expected James to blacklist me. I expected to be fired from my current drama. Instead, my agent called me with a bizarre update. Sarah, good news and weird news, she said. The production crew for The Silent Wind just upgraded your hotel suite to the presidential level. And they tripled your meal allowance. Did you sleep with the producer? No, I said, staring at the ceiling. I think the investor is just insane. I knew it was James. The comments had become my daily news feed. Even when I wasn't with him, if his name was mentioned on TV or by my agent, the text would appear, giving me updates on his mental state. One afternoon, I was at a coffee shop reading a script for a new audition. It was the role James had previously rejected for me, the second female lead opposite the top actor, Lucas Gray. Now that I was a free agent, I intended to fight for it. A black Maybach pulled up to the curb. The window rolled down. James sat there, wearing sunglasses, looking like a mob boss. He didn't look at me. He looked at his phone. Get in, he commanded. I'm busy, Mr. Williams, I said, sipping my latte. I said get in. We need to discuss the residual terms of your contract. There's a clause about confidentiality. The air above the car lit up. He has been circling this block for 2 hours waiting for you to come outside. He misses you so much he's wearing the tie you bought him for his birthday 2 years ago. Look. He hasn't eaten in 24 hours. He's running on espresso and regret. I sighed, gathered my things, and got into the car. James immediately handed me a document. Sign this. It states you won't reveal company secrets. I glanced at it. It was gibberish. Standard NDAs I'd already signed. James, I said, dropping the formality. Why are you here? He took off his sunglasses. There were dark circles under his eyes. I heard you're auditioning for the Crimson Sky. With Lucas Gray. Yes. Don't do it. Why? Because I'm just a substitute. Not worthy of acting with a top star. I tested him. Because Lucas Gray is a womanizer and the script has 3 kissing scenes. James blurted out, then immediately clamped his mouth shut, his face flushing a furious red. The comments cheered. Finally. The truth comes out. Jealousy looks good on you, Jimmy boy. He tried to buy the production company yesterday just to delete the kissing scenes, but his board of directors threatened to resign. I stared at him. So, you rejected it back then because you were jealous? James looked out the window, his jaw tight. I rejected it because you weren't ready. And, yes. I didn't want you touching other men. Because I have her face. James whipped his head around, his eyes blazing with an emotion I couldn't place. Will you stop talking about her? I don't give a damn about her. You sought me out because I look like her. Everyone knows it. The first love, who got away. James opened his mouth, then closed it. He looked defeated. Floating text. Tell her. Tell her the truth. Oh my God, this man is hopeless. Sarah, listen to me, there is no first love. I froze. I focused on the text. He made it up. He saw you in a soda commercial 4 years ago and became obsessed. But he was too shy to approach you because he has zero game. So he invented a dead/married first love scenario to justify giving you money and keeping you close without having to admit he just liked you. The photo in his wallet? It's photoshopped. It's literally your face with a different hairstyle. My brain short-circuited. James, I said slowly. Show me the picture. What? The picture of your first love. The one everyone says I look like. James stiffened. No. Show me, or I get out of the car and I kiss Lucas Gray in the audition tomorrow. With tongue. James panicked. He fumbled for his wallet, his composure shattering. He threw a small, worn photograph onto my lap. I picked it up. It was a grainy photo of a girl standing under a cherry blossom tree. She looked exactly like me. Scarily like me. But then I squinted. I recognized the dress. I had bought that dress at a thrift store in college. I recognized the watch. It was a cheap plastic watch I used to wear. And I recognized the cherry blossom tree. It was the one behind the arts building at my university. James, I whispered. This is me. You took this photo. You were stalking me. James turned 50 shades of red. He looked like he wanted to eject from the car. I wasn't stalking, he muttered, sounding like a petulant child. I was scouting. For talent. You invented a first love, I said, the realization washing over me. You told the whole world you were pining for someone else, just so you could hire me as a substitute, without losing your cool bad boy reputation. It sounded cooler in my head. James shouted, finally cracking. I couldn't just say, hi, I'm James, please date me. You were working 3 jobs. You hated rich people. If I offered you charity, you would have thrown it in my face. I had to make it a transaction. The comments were throwing confetti. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Mission accomplished. Now kiss him, you fool. I looked at this powerful, terrifying man, who was currently shrinking into his leather seat, terrified of my judgment. You are, I said, suppressing a smile, the biggest idiot I have ever met. James looked at me, hope sparking in his eyes. Does that mean you're coming home? No, I said firmly. I'm still moving out. And I'm still doing the audition. James's face fell. But, I added, I will let you take me to dinner. A real dinner. Not a transaction. If you behave, maybe I'll let you invest in my next movie. 6 months passed. I got the role in The Crimson Sky. It became a massive hit. I wasn't just James Williams's canary anymore, I was Sarah, the rising star. James and I were in a strange, fragile courtship. He was learning to treat me as an equal. He stopped ordering for me at restaurants. He started asking about my day instead of demanding my schedule. The comments were still there, acting as my relationship GPS, warning me when he was insecure or signaling when he was planning a surprise. But a romance novel isn't complete without a third-act conflict. It came in the form of a scandal. A tabloid released a bomb, director James Williams's dark secret, the money laundering scheme behind his muse. It was fake news, fabricated by a rival studio, but it was damaging. They claimed James had used my contracts to funnel illegal money. The public turned on us instantly. My endorsements were pulled. Paparazzi camped outside my apartment. I was trapped in my flat, watching the news. James wasn't answering his phone. The comments on the TV screen, not the floating ones, real ones, were vicious. She's a gold digger. He's a criminal. Suddenly, the floating comments appeared in my living room, red and flashing. Warning, James is doing something stupid. He is going to the press conference alone. He plans to take full blame to protect your reputation. He's going to say he manipulated you and you knew nothing. If he does this, he will go to jail for investigation and lose the company. You have to stop him. I grabbed my coat. I didn't care about the paparazzi. I pushed through the crowd outside my building, ignoring the flashing cameras. Sarah. Sarah. Is it true? I jumped into a taxi. The Williams Corporation Tower. Go. When I arrived, the lobby was a zoo. Reporters were everywhere. James was already on the podium in the main hall, microphones thrust in his face. He looked pale, stern, and devastatingly handsome in his tragic martyrdom. Regarding Miss Sarah, James spoke into the microphone, his voice echoing. She is innocent. She was merely an employee who... Stop. I screamed. The hall went silent. Every camera turned to me. I marched down the aisle. James looked at me, panic flaring in his eyes. The floating comments above him were screaming, "No away, save yourself, Sarah." I walked up the stairs to the stage. I stood next to him. I took his hand. It was ice cold. Mr. Williams is lying, I told the press. James squeezed my hand hard. Sarah, don't, he hissed through gritted teeth. I looked at the reporters. He's lying because he thinks he's being heroic. There is no money laundering. We have all the financial records to prove it, and my legal team is releasing them as we speak. This is a smear campaign. I looked at James. And as for our relationship, I am not his employee. And I am not a substitute. I turned to James, ignoring the hundreds of lenses. You told me once to know my place, I said, my voice trembling but loud. My place is right here. Cleaning up your messes because you're too stubborn to ask for help. James stared at me. The arrogance was gone. He looked vulnerable, stripped bare. Above his head, the comments were slow, soft, pink letters. I love her. I love her so much it hurts. She came for me. I want to marry her right now. He gripped the microphone. She's right, James said, his voice rough. I am stubborn. And I am lucky. The allegations are false. But the fact that I am in love with this woman is the only absolute truth I have. The room erupted. Flashbulbs blinded us. James pulled me into his arms and kissed me. It wasn't a movie kiss. It was desperate, messy, and real. 2 years later. The wedding was held at the venue James had secretly bought 5 years ago, a castle in Tuscany. I sat in the dressing room, wearing one of the 10 dresses he had commissioned back when I was just his substitute. It fit perfectly. Nervous? I looked up. James was standing in the doorway. It was bad luck for the groom to see the bride, but James Williams never followed rules. He looked older, more settled. The sharp, cruel edges of his youth had softened into a quiet confidence. A little, I admitted. He walked over and knelt beside my chair. He took my hand and kissed my knuckles. You look beautiful, he said. I know, I smiled. I looked above his head. For the last year, the comments had been appearing less and less. As James became more honest with his feelings, as he learned to communicate, the need for the subtitles faded. Today, there was just one steady stream of text floating gently like a halo. I can't believe she's real. I can't believe she chose me. I will spend every day making sure she never regrets it. James? Yeah. I can still see them, you know. Your thoughts? James laughed. He actually blushed, a rare sight these days. That's unfair. I have no secrets left. Good, I leaned down and kissed his forehead. Keep it that way. By the way, he said, reaching into his pocket. I have a gift. Not a contract. Just, a gift. He pulled out a small, velvet box. Inside wasn't a diamond. It was a cheap, plastic watch. The one from the photo. The one I had lost years ago in college. I found it, he said softly. The day I took that picture. You dropped it. I've kept it in my safe for 7 years. I wanted to return it, but then, well, I became a coward who invented a fake first love. I took the watch. It was worthless, scratched, and broken. It was the most precious thing I owned. You're not a coward, James, I said, putting the cheap plastic onto my wrist next to my diamond bracelet. You're just a very complicated leading man. We walked out of the room together. The music started. The doors opened. As we stepped into the sunlight, the floating comments shimmered one last time, not just above James, but across the sky, as if the audience of our story was saying goodbye. Happy ending achieved. Final rating, 5 stars. Thanks for reading. And then, with a soft chime, the text vanished into the blue Italian sky, leaving just the two of us, finally writing our own lines.